Hi there, and welcome to Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory, and it's not lunchtime, although that was a delicious gallery of incredible delights. And thank you so much for making them and for sharing your lunch with me and with the rest of us. Today, I am outside, clearly. This is not green screen, although it is green. It is not a screen. It is our front garden, and it's Earth Day, so it just seems like an appropriate place to be doing stuff. It's spring. Things are green and beautiful here. It may get noisy. As you can hear, the birds are going a bit nuts. Occasionally there'll be a plane going overhead. There's a couple of dogs down there that may go off. There are no leaf blowers today. No, the leaf blowers will be here later on. Maybe we'll even get to see them pull up. That will be exciting. So it is Earth Day, and we are celebrating the Earth. And I hope that you are ready to do some drawing today, because it's going to be fun. But we have a couple of announcements to make beforehand. First of all, I wanted to bring up Hahnemühle's Bamboo Mixed Media Pad, because that's what I'm going to be working with today. And it's a fantastic paper that is made entirely out of bamboo, and it is an interesting surface if you've never worked on bamboo or agave or some of the other papers that Hahnemühle makes. It's definitely fun to try out, and it's mixed media, which means that we can be watercoloring, we can be drawing with colored pencil, with ink, and I plan to do all of that today because, why not? Grab all the art supplies and use them. That's what they're for. So Deb has used this bamboo paper and is a big fan of it. That's great. Would you like to try it out? We're giving away, is it 4 or 5? I forget. Pads today. It's for anybody who would like to ask for them. Well, not anybody would like to ask for them, but you might like to ask for one. If you do, email us at info@sketchbookskool.com. And send us your U.S. mailing address. Don't forget your mailing address. Without it, we don't know where to mail stuff. We are not telepathic. Oh, we have 4 of them. Okay, so we're going to be giving away 4, and they are this size, the size that I have here, which is 9.45 inches by 12.59 inches, 24 by 32 centimeters. Good size. Good size, about the size of one's head if you wanted to do a self-portrait. Life size. So, it is a fun product to try out. You might fall in love with it, and it is perfect for Earth Day. If you'd like to write to us and tell us why you'd like it, you can email us. As I said, you can also write to us at our post office box. But, so we'll be picking 4 lucky winners for this. Is it similar to rice paper? No, it's not at all like rice paper. It is like watercolor paper. It is smooth. It is soft. It is as absorbent as watercolor paper. So it's nothing to do with rice. Although you could have bamboo and rice, make a tasty lunch. Maybe we'll draw that some other time. Yes, it's definitely thicker. It is. It's good watercolor paper. Good mixed media paper. Try it out. Another thing I wanted to do. Do they do in smaller sizes? They do. They have different sizes, and it is a flexible. I'm not sure what all the other sizes are. Maybe JJ will find that out and put it into the chat. We'll find out. So, I wanted to talk to you about another kind of special thing about today, or at least this week, which is it is the 9th anniversary of Sketchbook School. 9th anniversary. It's also more or less, I think right now, the third or fourth anniversary of Draw With Me, I forget. And it is, I don't know, this is a lot of anniversaries coming up. This is a time of Sketchbook School bringing stuff out. But Sketchbook School began 9 years ago, and it began with a single course. And that course was called Beginning. I just wanted to show you a little thing about it because it is something that is very dear to me. It's the whole reason that I am basically a teacher, is because of Beginning. The reason I'm here on the internet is because of this course and the fact that that so many people have taken it and loved it. And we stopped selling it for a couple of years because we did. And now we're bringing it back for 1 week. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about what it's about. Hi, I'm Danny Gregory. Have you ever wanted to try keeping a beautiful sketchbook and you just have no idea how to begin? Well, let me tell you about Beginning. It's a very special course that features me and 5 of my favorite sketchbook artists introducing you to this wonderful art form. Beginning is the first course we ever offered at Sketchbook School, and it became one of our most popular courses ever. Over the last 9 years, it has changed the lives of literally tens of thousands of people by showing them how to begin keeping a sketchbook. If you or someone you know wants to start a drawing habit or get back into it, Beginning is the perfect course for you. 6 very different artists will share their art and their wisdom. Join the tens of thousands of people who've discovered the power of drawing in a sketchbook. Don't let the fear of not being good enough hold you back from trying something new. Beginning is a safe and supportive space to learn and grow. Beginning hasn't been available for the last few years, but to celebrate our anniversary, we're bringing it back for a very short time and a very special price. Celebrate our 9th anniversary with us. Sign up for Beginning at sketchbookschool.com. You won't regret it, and I can't wait to see you there. Well, there you have it. So Beginning is back for just a couple more days. I forget when exactly it ends, but we've also brought it out at an even lower price than it was 9 years ago. But again, just for a couple of days, a lot of people are signing up for it, and that'll be really great because I'm looking forward to the kind of energy that we had around Beginning at the beginning when people were all working on it together and sharing stuff. Now we have the schoolyard, so they're not just sharing it on Facebook, but they're doing it all together. And I see a lot of you have already signed up. That is great. I hope that you really enjoy it because it was a very, very fun experience for me. And as I said, it's changed everything. So go to school.tiny.us/begin. Check it out. You'll find out all about it there. All right. What did I want to say next? I wanted to talk about, well, what we're going to do today. So today, as I said, it is Earth Day. So we are going to focus on flowers, but I wanted to focus on a very specific thing, which is cactus flowers. I don't know if you've ever seen cactus flowers, but they're absolutely amazing. And here we are in Phoenix in the desert. And it was JJ's idea. She herself is a cactus flower born here in Arizona. And it's certainly a beautiful flower with just a few little prickly bits, but don't worry about that. Anyway, so it was her idea to do cactus flowers, and I love this idea because when I started to look at them, which I wasn't really aware of them before we moved here, there are just so many gorgeous ones, and I thought that would be a fun thing to do on this bamboo paper. So let us have a look at some of them. Let me just get my desk here. All right, so here's my desk, and I got some watercolors going. I got a small set. This is a small set of watercolors that is just for florals, so it has a pretty small, limited, range. But it's basically 2 yellows, 2 reds, a purple and a blue, and 1 green and a white. So I'm going to see how that works, and I don't paint flowers enough, honestly. Flowers are just so beautiful. I would love to do it more, and I should. I also have my colored pencils. I actually spent some time this morning arranging them so that I have my warms on this level, and then I have down below, I have my cools. So we'll see if that works. A lot of times I'm kind of rummaging around trying to find my things. But so this is this the picture? Yeah, this is the one I think we could start with. This is a torch cactus, it's called. And I don't know, let's try it out. I think so. I have 3 references, and I want to try different ones, try maybe different styles. I'm not quite sure how to do this yet. I also have my brush pen, and I also have a bunch of fine liners here too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll make it up as we go along, if you're with me. So let's just start with maybe a bit of splish splash. Put a little bit of splash here. I should have cleaned this palette before I began. Let me just clean it a bit now. Clean it up. Do you clean your palette before, like at the end of a painting session, or do you do it at the beginning of a painting session? How organized are you about all this stuff? It is nice to start with a clean palette. It's also nice to not get paint on your piece of paper before you've even begun, but I have, so I'll live with it. I'm not going to waste a piece of paper here because of that mess, but it's fine. I'll figure it out. Work around it. So I have this cad red. It's very bright, so that's kind of not exactly where I want to be, but I'm going to put it down anyway. I'm going to put it down and then come back and sort of tweak it. Because I've got, as I said, I've got these colored pencils and stuff. Maybe I'll try a little bit of this white gouache on it too. See how that works. I don't know. Haven't really thought this through. Oh, I've got this permanent rose too. Maybe that's even, I should have a bit of that standing by too. Some permanent rose, put a bit of white in that too. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this loosely and see where it comes out. And again, if you want to, you don't have to do this exact flower. You can use this as a beginning and kind of decide later on that you want to make it your own kind of cactus flower. What is that like? So yeah, I'm just kind of slathering it down here. Putting a little bit of, maybe I'll make something a bit more orangey, because that is really the thing. I'm just going to put a few layers on it. Flowers are a lot of fun to paint. And to draw also. What do you think? Art by Hazel, welcome. We're painting cactus flowers for Earth Day. That is the drill. Now I'm going to introduce a bit of green. You can see I'm working insanely quickly, but that's maybe a mistake, but it may also just be the first phase of this whole thing. First phase of this exploration. Because I do kind of like this green and the pink together. They're a nice combination. And did you know much about cactus flowers? I remember when I was a kid and I lived in Pakistan with my grandparents, and my grandmother had a beautiful cactus garden there. A lot of ways the climate in Pakistan is quite like what it is here in Arizona. I think that's why I like living here so much, because it reminds me of my childhood. And she had this cactus garden. She had a couple of cactus gardens, actually. And they had lots of different species. And she had this one that grew very tall. No idea what kind it was. But it would produce a thing called the moonflower. I think that's what she called it. And it would flower like once a year, late at night. And we would stay up late and we would go out and look at it and see it especially. And then in the morning, if you plucked it, it would just wither, and it needed to be enjoyed and celebrated in its, where it was. It was not meant to be taken away. And that was a special event. It was special because you get to stay up late too, which when you're a kid is always very exciting. She also had these other cactuses that looked like, if you can imagine, sort of a flower, but made out of lizard skin or something. It was brownish, greenish, yellow spotted thing. And it was quite ugly and smelled like rotting meat. Not an attractive flower. Not, you know. So I'm doing this really loosely because I sort of have an idea, something I want to try, which is maybe come in later with a brush pen once it's a little drier. And then, you know, obviously I'll work on the details there. But this is just sort of color. It's like a layer of color. Think of the watercolor that way. Because we're doing mixed media. That's what this paper is really great at. Mixed media. So, all right. So I think that I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to come back to it. So yeah, I see some of you have memories of this. Jen had a mood garden of all white flowers. So that sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds really nice. So let's just pull up another one. We'll come back to this picture. So don't despair if it's gone and you're still working from it. We'll come back to it because we're just going to throw some stuff down. So here's a totally different plant. This is actually, it's called an Argentine giant. But it is similar. So it's a little similar to what we just were looking at. More kind of roundish. And I might try and do this sort of looser, more impressionistic initially. And then put in more detail later on. Let's see if that's a better approach. I don't know. I didn't actually bring anything white with me, so I'm going to have to improvise that. But maybe the cactus spines, is that what they're called? Spines? Prickles, whatever those things are. Maybe they're not white. Maybe they're another color. Could have been cool, actually. Could have been a good opportunity to use a metallic. I had these metallic watercolors and metallic pencils. That could have been a thing, too. But when I came out this morning, I decided I'm going to try and limit what I have to work with, which can be a good idea sometimes, you know, just to say, I'm not going to go berserk and have...
Do you want me to get you something?
No, I think I'll deal with it okay.
I wish people could see the window I'm leaning out.
JJ is sticking her head out of the kitchen window because I'm on the front, by the front door, and she is... you know, I'd like to get, I'd like a cheeseburger and fries.
And chocolate cake and a beer.
It's like a little takeout window with her sticking her head out. So yeah, so this is just pretty loose, splashy bits of color. Let's see if that becomes something of interest when it dries. So we'll see. It's nice. It's just sort of an impression of that flower. And I think I'm going to stick with these two for now. So I'm going to let that one dry a bit. And I'm going to come back to this one. I'm going to come back to that. I probably should have practiced this, right? I should have done you that service. But see, when I take a colored pencil, I can be just a bit more specific about this all. That might be nice. Because I've got this layer here, this background layer to just kind of give me, and then I can use the colored pencil to just make delineations of some kind. It's a pretty complex flower, this one. Has lots of layers to it. So, you know, when we moved here from New York a couple years ago, we moved into this house, and honestly, it's tough if you're a New Yorker to really be a gardener. You know, we had a couple of small terraces in our New York apartment, and so we could, you know, sort of half-heartedly grow things, but it's really difficult because, you know, particularly on a terrace that has another terrace right above it, so you get a lot of shade, and you know, there's just a lot going on in the city. There's a lot of pollution and dirt, birds, pigeons, all that kind of stuff. There's just a lot going on, and it's not that nice of a gardening experience, you know. You're working your way around all these things, and in the end, you end up with a few pots. Like we would occasionally, you've grown like tomatoes or something like that, and you grow, you know, you spend a lot of energy getting a spindly looking tomato plant that, you know, that's been sitting basically out breathing taxi and truck fumes its entire life, and you think, yeah, it's a fresh vegetable ish, but you know, not really the optimal experience. And then we came out here, and we have I don't know how much land there is here. It's like close to an acre, so it's really big. And we have lots and lots of trees. We have bushes. We have some flowers that are growing like on the fences and stuff. There's definitely a lot of activity here. Clearly there's a lot of birds going on. So there's just a lot of stuff. And our garden has guys who come and mow the lawn and stuff like that. And when we bought this place, it was owned by somebody else. We had a landlord the first couple of years we lived here when we just rented it, but then we bought it. And you know, if you have a garden that's owned by a landlord as opposed to by people who actually really care about it, you know, it's very utilitarian. It was designed to sort of be reasonably inexpensive to look after and not terribly beautiful. And now that we own it, we're interested in trying to make something of it. But because we're New Yorkers, we don't really know how. We don't really know what to do. So we're trying. We've had some guys come around to give us some advice. We're about to order a whole bunch of new plants. We're going to get some roses. So, you know, we will be transitioning and becoming gardeners, but it's not an easy thing to do when you don't really know what you're doing. And we have there's so many opportunities, so many plants, types of plants. There's so many, you know, ideas you could have. It's like going to a giant art supply store and saying, "Oh yeah, I should make some art." You have no idea where to begin. There's just so many options. So that's sort of where we're at. It's a nice problem to have. I'm not complaining. I'm just a bit bewildered by it all. So, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out. It's an interesting place also to grow plants because, of course, this winter it went down to below frost, and then in about a month and a half from now, it could be over 115 degrees. It's like that kind of insanity of temperatures. So a lot of times what you know about gardening Particularly if you live like on the East Coast or something like that, it just doesn't even apply. Not even remotely. It's like you're on a completely other planet because of what the heat does and how the seasons change. But there's a lot of beautiful plants here, and I can't wait for us to get some. We will soon. We have plants, but we will get more and more of our own. We want to get some color in here, some bougainvillea and some roses and some other stuff. I'm going to try and do it step by step, you know? Not try and take on the whole thing, but just try some stuff, see how we like it, try some other stuff, learn about it, own it. JJ's terrified that she will kill everything. But, you know, as I said, I grew up, my grandmother was a really ardent gardener. She, in fact, had two full-time gardeners working for her. So she had just amazing stuff. And I like to think that maybe there's a bit of that gene in me. My mother's also a really good, intuitive gardener.
People are asking about the pencils. Are they?
Ah, yes, the pencils. Okay, so these are Derwent Chromaflow. And they're nice. They're juicy. They're pretty juicy. You can get some really good color. Here, let me just, I think I'm going to intensify things. So I've been doing something pretty loose. See, it's interesting here is that as I'm drawing with this darker color, it's the white is actually coming out now. That's kind of cool. I hadn't anticipated that. So I put the white down, and then when I added the green on top, then it came out. So there's the green. Put a bit of green, put a bit of dark green, and the white seems to come out. So that's interesting. Monica's also using Chromaflow. Yeah, they are blending nicely. They're it's just nice, bright, clean colors too. Speaking of beginning, by the way, that course that we were talking about before, this technique is something that Tommy Kane does in that class, which is really great, which is that you basically do a drawing in line, which I'm not doing, do a drawing in line, and then you go over it with colored pencil, and that just like raises the energy level of the color. But see, now let's just try this as an experiment. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm thinking I'm going to take this brush pen and maybe see what happens if we just do a little bit of drawing on top of this. And so squinting to see this reference because it's very bright out here. But yeah, so this is a Pentel brush pen, which is basically an ink pen, but it's basically pretty waterproof. So you don't have to worry that if you need to go over it with another layer of watercolor or something, it's not going to activate the ink and make it start getting all mushy. So you can have nice sharp lines. And yeah, so this is I'm kind of liking this. I have some white ink somewhere, and you could go over this with a dip pen and maybe add some white thing, but I won't. I think I'll just do it in black. Just add the little spikes in black. And then just kind of decide if I'm going to do these background ones, or should I leave them not outlined. So it's kind of like there's one focus here, one focal point. And the others are softer in the background. Maybe. See how I continue to feel about that. kind of like that better. I think that has more pizzazz. What do you think? More pizzazz than just the color. I think that's just my style generally. I like the idea of doing things in just blocks of color, but I also like me a good outline now and then. And here we don't have to outline everything. We can actually, because this is sort of a bit less the focus, we could make this outline just a little more vague. And then there's this thing in the background, similar, just kind of keeping it vague. And I don't want to distract too much from this main flower. So I'm going to let that ink sit and dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come over to this one. So this one here, we really got a lot more abstract with it, right? Deborah says, the show is always dangerous. I wind up with an extra window open shopping for art supplies. Yes, I think maybe I'll change the name of the show to Shop With Me. What do you think? All right, so this drawing this painting so far is very, very different from the specifics of this, because this photograph is really pretty sharp and specific. It is not a kind of watercolory thing at all. But I'm going to kind of come in between. So right now it's just watercolor. There's no colored pencil, and so I'm going to try just seeing what it's like to draw the lines, and then maybe go back in and add some colored pencil. And also, I think I'm kind of feeling like I want to abstract it a bit. I'm not really trying to do something photographic, so I could do something that's more kind of just my impression of this plant. And I like these little sort of white marks where the thorns are coming out of. They're called? What are they called? Spikes? Spires? Spines? Cactus? I don't know what the word is. What's the word? All right, so let's see how this flower is going to work. See this nice stuff going on here with this watercolor? See, it's like really pretty abstract. It's spines. Yeah, people are saying spines. Thank you. Spines. There is this nice spray of that yellow there, of those kind of stamens, I guess they are. So I don't want to be too heavy-handed with the petals, because I want to keep that. But to figure out how to do that, how to add that yellow. If I had some gouache, then maybe that would have been a different move. We once did a really nice class with August Wren on painting flowers with gouache. I don't know if you were part of that class, but it was nice. I mean, gouache flowers can be so, sharp and fun and playful and bright. And there's this little kind of stem that's coming up to the flower. All right, so now we can go in with a color pencil. So this is a different sequence. You don't have to do it. And you can also, of course, go back in and add some more watercolor later on, or we could add a bit more colored pencil or tighten up the lines. It's kind of a back and forth, like a collaboration between the different media. Because this is kind of dull, honestly. That watercolor there is a bit dull. So that could be a function of the fact that I just didn't spend an awful lot of time mixing a good color. Maybe I'll spend a little bit more time. And this is kind of messy. But I feel like that green in the photo is so intense, and mine is kind of a bit bland. So I'll try and see if I can mix myself something a bit more interesting than that. Yeah, it's still not great. I think I just need to layer it up. Just do a few more layers. And then sometimes watercolor you can just get such a beautiful, bright, clean thing first time. But in this case, I think I rushed it, so it's a little less so. But we have plenty of other tools at our disposal. So you see now I'm plunging in with a colored pencil on top of the wet watercolor, and it's not happy. So I'm just going to let it dry, and meanwhile just keep working with this colored pencils in here. And then we've got this spray of yellow here. How are we going to do that? Maybe this cad yellow could be my friend here. Sometimes I get worried about cadmium colors because they can be so great by themselves, but I have some disastrous things happen when I mix them sometimes. So now I'm going to, so now this cat is good. It's nice and bright in the background. And then I can start trying to build up some layers of colored pencil on top of that.
Seriously.
What?
What is wrong with you? Why not Posca?
Because I don't have it with me.
Do you want me to bring you one?
No, I think that's too intense.
Wow.
It's too intense. This is... Yeah, JJ was just suggesting some Posca pens, which I used recently. And, that's a very blunt instrument. It's nice if you're doing something very graphic, but in this case, I'm not. All right, we're going to let that dry. And I'm going to start seeing if I can bring this back in here with a green. Yeah, you see that green? It's nice and intense. And I do have a little bit of white gouache in this palette, so that could be the savior here. Put down a bit of white gouache right there. I just thought of this. I think it's white gouache. Yeah, so this down here is white gouache. It's a little pink right now. Get it nice and white again. See? Yeah, you see that's something. And then go in here and do some stuff. There you go. See, so now it's obviously it's white, but then I can go in and do some yellow on top of the white, because at least I'll have that thing. See? It's all just experimentation. But this white is quite nice here. Putting a little bit of white on top of this colored pencil too. Oh, good. One of the dogs is barking out across the road. Can you hear that mourning dove? Yeah, those guys have a very distinctive yammer. Now, I wonder what would happen if I tried mixing some of this white with a bit of yellow. I might get something that has a bit of opacity. And a bit of color.
Hey,
What?
multiple people have asked about the paint set over time.
The paint set that I'm using? Yeah. If you've been asking about the paint set, this is a set of Cotman. Cotman is the brand of Winsor Newton watercolors. And this particular set is called Florals. I also have one that is for portraits. So it's kind of more various skin tones. And I have another one that is metallics. So basically you get like a little set of a limited palette. And it's designed for a particular purpose. Obviously you don't have to just use it for florals. But it is nice for that. So that I'm adding a little bit of green now to that white gouache. So white gouache can function as basically, it doesn't exactly make everything gouache, but it can help you to get some opacity out of a color. You know, it doesn't necessarily make it. It makes it a bit lighter, obviously, and a bit more pastel. But it also gives it some opacity, so you can be dealing with a lighter color, but it's not just a transparent layer. Okay, well, that's something. You know, I mean, other ways I could have done this would have been perhaps, instead of doing this black outline, could have drawn it with ink and done it with a colored ink. Could have been nice too. So, it's a thought. But maybe what I need to do is to take take a fine liner like this is. I'm just gonna pick one, kind of a finer fine liner, like what is it, 2 or 1? That's an 05. Try an 05. So this is just a fine liner that can help me to maybe give some definition to this stuff going on in here. And it's nice because it's a contrast with a heavy brush line. You know, so it says something about the material that these stamens are made out of, and how it's different from the petals. And then it's different also from the cactus itself. So, even though it's black lines, it gives you the sense that there's something else going on in there, which is kind of nice. This thing is starting to look a little Shop of Horrors-ish. But that feels consistent with how I like to make things. A little grotesquerie instead of just pure beauty. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that's kind of nice. Maybe I'll just take another fine liner that's a bit heavier and just do a few more little doodads here. Could have done those with a brush, I guess. But make it a bit spikier. And now this is pretty much darker, so I'm going to just keep layering stuff on. You know, why not? So often when you do something like this, you can get to a point where you're like, it looks really anemic or just not that interesting. And that could just be a stage that the drawing is at. It may just need you to keep helping it with more stuff. You can also get to a point, of course, where it's just horribly overworked and that you may have to just write the whole thing off as an interesting lesson and experiment. Or, you know, and then maybe you could try it again, or you could just say, well, next time I just went too far with too many things. But you're learning all the time as you're making art, and you're learning about the effects and the interactions that different things have with each other when you're doing something like this. Now, you know, there certainly are times when you might want just the purity of something very simple, you know, a very limited thing like just a splash of watercolor or just a couple of lines. But the way to figure that out, how to do that, because that is finesse, you know, that can take a long time to really get to the point where you feel comfortable doing that or you just know how to do it. There's so many great artists who are able to do that. They just lay down a couple of things and you go, God, that's absolutely amazing. That's perfect. How did you know? And how did you manage to convince yourself to back off at that point? And the way that happens, I think, is by doing a lot of this sort of thing where you're just learning what things can do by playing with them, you know? And that is, we think about practice. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. Why not? But we think about practice as being like drudgery, you know, and in fact, if you think about practice like putting something into practice, what it means is you're using it and doing it. You're taking these basic principles and you're applying them, and as you're applying them, you are learning about them, and you're getting more facility with them, and they become more natural, and then you just understand, okay, let me just do this instead of doing that. Or I can fix that by adding this. You know, those sorts of discoveries are really great, but they only come from a lot of travel, a lot of adventure. So don't despair if you don't get there yet. And just remember, the more you muck around with it, the more you're going to know. It's kind of like being a jazz musician, you know? So great jazz musicians just know their instruments so well. They understand music and its structure so well. They just know how to do a thing. And that comes from playing for years and years and practicing and listening to other people and just doing it over and over again. And you just have to make sure that you don't despair at any point on the journey by saying, oh, I'm never going to get anywhere. No, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's going to take you a while to get to these places. And the more far away the destinations that you want to get to, you know, the more traveling you're going to have to do. The more perhaps discomfort you're going to have along the way as you go to places that are remote and strange and possibly terrifying. And you might wish that you could turn around and go back at certain points. You might say, well, this is just not working out. I should just give up. And then suddenly you wake up in a strange place and it's amazing. And you are now living it rather than dreading it. So, all right, well, that's getting better. Keep doing this. And again, it's sort of representative. I mean, I think what I didn't do is I don't have the really intense colors that you're seeing in that yellow and in that pink, that intensity. I haven't managed to achieve that. Now, it isn't to say I couldn't get there with this. But part of it is that intensity is, I don't entirely have the right materials maybe for that. That's probably my excuse. But you know, you can also get that intensity also by contrast, by having colors that are complementary and that kind of zing with each other. So I'm getting like that purple in there. Maybe that's why I need a little bit of purple. It's purple and the yellow are complements, and they can help to bring each other out. All right, I think that that's reasonable, what I've done here. I mean, honestly, I have a lot of glare on my screen here, so I'm not seeing the reference that clearly, which is actually kind of interesting because I'm getting away from the reference and I'm just responding to what I've made. So I'm not even sure how much this actually looks like the photograph anymore, but who cares? I'm going to go in with a bit of blue just to add some darker tone in there. Yeah, shaggy. That was nice. JJ says, I think we should do flowers more often. Yeah. It's true. Painting flowers is fun because it is observation, but it's also abstraction in a way, right? Because you can kind of just get carried away with the spirit of the flower and take it into all kinds of interesting places. So now I go back and look at this other one, and it looks a little underworked compared to the second one. So I could go back in and do some more. But we are kind of running out of time. Just add googly eyes. Oh, to the picture. I thought you meant to me. Well, yeah, that was interesting. That was fun. And just to say one more thing about this bamboo paper, I like paper that you can just keep throwing stuff at it and it doesn't start to shred, it doesn't start to buckle. It's like, bring it on, throw on some more, throw on some gouache, dude. Bring out some spray paint. How about a roller with some latex? Well, I don't think you can do that, but certainly this paper has had no problem with whatever I did to it, and that's really what you want from good paper. Is you want it to be your friend, be your collaborator, and it's amazing how much paper can make a difference. You think of it as just kind of the background of what you're doing, but the wrong paper just doesn't react with yourself. It can make it look dull. It can make your ink bleed. It can make things feel out of control. And the plural of cactus is cacti, of course. So it can do a lot of things that you didn't expect and you didn't want. And so, that's something, again, that you develop an understanding of over time, which is what paper to use. And how is my paper going to react to the different things I do? So what I like to do is when I get a new paper, get out a whole bunch of art supplies and stuff, throw it at it. Particularly with Sketchbook, I like to open the last page of the Sketchbook and just take different kinds of ink, take different kinds of paint, try it out, see how's it going to react. Does the color look great? Does it sort of absorb into the paper? Does it run? Is my pen kind of skittering across the surface? All those sorts of things are part of the just breaking in a new tool, breaking it in, trying it out. So anyway. All right. Well, thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be part of the discussion on the chat. I was busy drawing, but I'm glad that you guys seem to be having fun. Thanks for joining me today. If you want to try beginning, don't forget you can, you only have a day or two left. JJ, when does it end? Do you remember? When does the sale end? Pretty soon. And I don't want you to miss it out because we're not going to be selling it again. It's not going back into our regular store. So if you want to try it out and learn a bunch of techniques, including one about flowers that Jane LaFazio teaches. Does she teach flowers? Yeah, she certainly does. Show us a lot of stuff along those lines. Drawing animals with Roz, doing urban sketching with Kosha, painting a shoe with me, learning about journaling, all that kind of stuff. It's all in there, and you can find out, if you sign up. So there's that, and that's about it. I'll see you again next Thursday. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to share your cactus flowers. Please do share them on social media, because it will be so great to have this bouquet of cactus flowers next week. So put them on social media, hashtag SBS Draw With Me. Some people say, I don't know how to use a hashtag. All it means is type the hashtag, that pound symbol, and then draw with SBS Draw With Me next to it somewhere on your post. That's all you need to do. And Facebook, Instagram, they'll know what that means. Or put them in the schoolyard if you're a member of the schoolyard, because you've taken a class with us, and put it there. We'll be gathering them all up and putting them together. And again, if you're interested in getting this, trying out this bamboo paper, write to us. Tell us why. Tell us what we find intriguing about it. Don't just send us, here's my address. Tell us, chat with us. Tell us why, and we'll throw your name into the hat. And Danny'sEssays.com. I write an essay every Friday. I'll write one next week. I'll write one tomorrow. I'll write one last week. I did. And I send them out, and they're free, so you can sign up for that. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.